Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and I'm here to review a big, bold, beautiful journey. And this is from director Kogonada, who previously made films like Columbus and After Yang and worked on Pachenko over on Apple TV Plus, written by Seth Race and starring Colin Farrell and Margot Robbie. And two strangers who meet at a mutual friend's wedding have the chance to relive important moments from their pasts, illuminating the path that led them to the present and gaining the opportunity to change their futures. And this film is such an interesting experience because there's just something not right about this film. You have such a talented filmmaker like Kogonada. You have Colin Farrell and Margot Robbie, who are incredibly charismatic performers. This has so much potential, but it never really clicks. And there's certainly moments where I think Colin Farrell and Margot Robbie's chemistry together and their charisma just individually does stand out. And I think maybe some of those moments might have been improv, to be perfectly honest, because this script's not doing anybody a whole lot of favors. This film is very beautiful from like this rich, colorful perspective. There's texture and feeling in the visuals of the film, I think. But there's just something that feels hollow about this film and its execution. There's so many ideas in terms of relationships and connection and fighting for these connections that just feel so bland and clunky and awkward. This film is extremely awkward and clunky, and I think the screenplay really is not doing the film many favors. The dialogue in this is so stilted and clumsy and just does not feel natural or authentic in any way. And even Farrell and Robbie struggle to make any of this dialogue feel authentic or genuine and meaningful in any way, shape, or form throughout the film. There's just this sequence at Burger King that feels so awkward and weird and off-putting. And there's an awkwardness around so many of the interactions in this film, and whatever Kogonada was doing behind the camera just wasn't clicking. And pacing-wise, this film is boring a lot of the time and just lacks any kind of real energy that pushes it, moves it forward. And you're left to just sit there in this awkwardness with these two very talented actors that are trying their best to do something with it. And, you know, this film has all these ideas that feel like it's ripped right from Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind, and about connection and how we get to places together. And, like, can we change our futures, what our destiny tends to be? And this film just doesn't know how to handle these ideas in a meaningful or impactful or thoughtful way. And it all just feels so clumsily put together. And this whole concept of these doorways into our past have so much potential, and there's singular moments that do really work, especially with, you know, Margot Robbie's character of Sarah and her like her mother. That dynamic feels very emotional, and I really do feel like it has a lot to do with the performers really selling that moment and less of what the screenplay is doing. But there's just so many elements here and so many wasted performances throughout this film and characters, and has such an interesting concept, but it never really leverages it in a truly meaningful and rich way. There's also distracting things like Colin Farrell's dye job and his tan looks so off-putting. And like little things like that should not be grabbing your attention, but in a film like this where it's so painfully just plodding around in such a sluggish manner, it's hard not to just sit and just stare at him and just be like, what did they do to you? And like I said, it is vibrant and gorgeous to look at times, and you have two very charismatic leads, but so much of this just feels so poorly presented and strung together that it just falls flat, to be honest, and this is a pretty disappointing experience as well. But those are my thoughts on A Big, Bold, Beautiful Journey. Let me know what you think and let's talk some movies. But thank you as always for tuning in and supporting your Wasteland reviewer.